Welcome to the Dream is Love Conversations with Professor D, Camilla Shavers Douglas, and Piper Dellums. Please send us your questions and we will answer them live. You can send those questions to thedreamislove@gmail.com. Let's talk. We as a body of humanity have found ourselves in a time of chaos, of struggle, of anxiety, fear, isolation, and depression. But this is a 3D consciousness. It is comprised of a lower density vibrational frequency because it operates in the third dimension, where we view things from a purely physical state and view ourselves as separate from others. We believe that we are in competition with others, and we operate from a concept of scarcity and victim consciousness. But we have moved out of that and into the fourth dimension, the 4D, where we begin to awaken to the understanding and the knowing that we are all connected, that there is more to life than what we can access physically, and that our thoughts and feelings impact our reality. We begin to understand that there is a greater purpose in life, and we search for something more meaningful than our materially based world. All right. We have been sitting here for a little while, just shooting it up. Sisters. There is a lot going on in the world, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it in the third dimension and our body temples, what it means in the fifth dimension, what can we do about it, how can we aid, how does our wisdom expand, and thank God we have each other, because the way the world's going, I'm about to lose all my mind. That's all right, because that mind is temporal. I'm trying to get this soul and spirit together. So who did I bring on today? My sisters. These are the muses of the universe. These are the filmmakers, the songbirds, the sound bath healers. These are the voices of tomorrow. These are the intellectuals. These are the wisdom keepers. This is Dr. Ivy Hylton, and this is Kaylah, Marin, and this is an honor to have us sitting at our little metaphoric table so that we as a family can talk. So I think the first thing is there's a lot going on in the world, and I know that we can feel it. There have been days, where I was so locked in the world, trying to be in the world, but not of it, but in my being of it, really locked in my body. I could feel what was going on physically in my body. I was really cognizant of my illness. I was really cognizant of domestic violence and hi baby, and of being re-triggered by the Diddy situation, and what it means for us as Black women, and how we don't want to turn over or turn in, our brothers and sisters because they look like us, number one, and number two, because the world attempts to reflect us in a generality, said we're trying to keep ourselves safe. There's been so much oppression and racism and violence against us that we celebrate any victory, even if it's an OJ. We just want to, it's like we're celebrating someone not going down, because 30 million times the innocent were never given justice. And then we have Trump. That's a whole other note.
Speak, girl, speak.
Look, so it's in my body. I'm feeling it. There's some nights I can't sleep. There's some days I'm just pissed. And there's some days that I'm reminding myself, oh, there's a greater wisdom. This is all meaningful and purposeful. What do you guys think?
Well, I just want to, first of all, say thank you, because we need these conversations. And I'm just so grateful, for the Zoom. And, for years, I used to use Zoom for staff meetings and clinical supervision. And it never occurred to me to use it to connect and communicate. And so, outside of work. And this opportunity just opens up my heart. And I heard you say something, Piper, that I would like to reframe. And claiming an illness is not something that I want to do, especially if we're talking about finding ways of accessing the fifth dimension. I just recently came from a retreat in Tulum, Mexico, where we did the ayahuasca ceremonies. Oh, we haven't even really fully talked about that. But the medicine women that were there were so powerful. I was able to do the sound spa there, right? The whole place is right next to the beach. The water, the air, everything, and the people. There was a woman who became ill as soon as we got there. So she wasn't able to really join us, but when I did the sound spa, they brought her out so that she could lie and experience the vibrational healing from the frequencies. And when it was over, she said something to me that no one has ever said. She said that the frequencies elevated her to the ninth dimension. You hear that?
Well, that's your gift. That is your gift. You have spoken into my cells with your high frequency gifting.
Whoa. I want to refrain, not claiming the illness, but seeing it as an opportunity to access the fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth dimensions of reality. Because right now, with all of the things that are going on in the world, if we're not able to redirect and tune into the frequency of God, we will get sucked into the muck. We will get sucked into the disbelief of reality. We will get sucked into the abyss of confusion.
Absolutely.
And so I want to no longer claim that.
Thank you.
It is not yours.
What's going on in the vehicle, and we forget about the driver, which is this eternal soul and spirit. And if I'm attached to a soul and spirit, it can only be an energy frequency from my own thoughts, the vibration of the world, the collective consciousness, that which is dropped at my front doorstep, that doesn't belong to me, and I'm not yet doing a return to sender. I'm working on now opening the trunk, pulling out those bones, and trying to bear witness to what is this? Why am I carrying it around with me? And how do I let it go?
It's kind of I'm kind of chuckling a little bit because I can't believe this is the thought that's coming to me. But what is coming to me is, all right, it is time to rise above the mundane. And recreate a new reality in the mind so that the brain can guide the heart and the heart can sync with the brain. And then you create a whole new reality in your mind's eye. And somehow, that is the soul language.
That's the only way we survive. I want to talk to Kaylah about that too, because Kaylah is, she's not just a filmmaker and songwriter. She's a genius, but she has a real foundation on an unveiling and bearing witness to culture, its definition, to that distinction. And what you just said about that elevating above the mind, it reminded me of Nelson Mandela. Whenever people interviewed Nelson Mandela, they asked of Madiba, how did you exit Robben's Island after knowing that there were tirings and beatings and burnings and killings and imprisonment, that your family was dying without you bearing witness, that you were being beaten in your physical body, but you stepped out of there in this elevated spiritual frequency of Ubuntu, of forgiveness, of shalom, of peace, of pause. It was within every part of his being. Where does that come from? That's the place that you just said, this moving, the soul and the spirit moving into
That's
that
right.
other dimension outside of the physical world. That's moving from the third dimension to the fourth dimension. Kayla, what are you thinking about all that we're talking about, girl?
I am being nourished. It's difficult. I'm being nourished because there is so much that is happening in the world, and I guess always there's always so much happening. But if you're sitting in that, then you can't rise above. You can't see that there's more. And so I think what's really important right now is, why is so much happening? What are they trying to turn our attention away from?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they trying to keep us disconnected? Right. And so that it's not, and I'm looking at things and sometimes I can see where it's not the action, but I see just the anger, or I see, just the emotions and all of this that's coming out of it. But why? Like, what is that? And so I am blessed from having definitely like a cultural background on all my sides, just from like the spirituality, on on my mother's side, having to deal with like having just a real strong belief, and then on my father's side, just with the Garifuna culture too, and knowing that there's more than just what is, just the concrete, so that I'm not wrapped so tightly in, I guess, Western thought that really has worked overtime for years to silence, to deaden our ability to hear, and
Yeah.
to connect, and has really just tried to immerse us in a made up world, made up, finances, made up, politically, all just in a made up world. And we've all invested so heavily worldwide, regardless of what perhaps we came from. Like, we've forgotten these connections. And I think our ancestors are banging at the door, trying to call the children back. And are we listening? So,
That's the
I,
remembering of those bones.
right, remembering. And it's coming out in sicknesses. It's coming out in pains and mental and deadening. And that's why, with the drug use being so high, it's just coming out in all of these ways. So I'm here to listen. I get a front row seat.
So we're only attending to what they're showing us. We're attending to
Yeah.
the media, social media, the news. Of course, they said if it bleeds, it reads. That's why this is all being posted. But at the same time, all of us very quietly, the extrovert, introvert, spiritual, rising, wisdom keepers are going, wait a minute. We may not be speaking it out into the world, but COVID was this perfect soul spiritual isolation that allowed us to be still and know. We went into a serious sacred stillness. The only thing that had us disrupted was that we were no longer being distracted, and we didn't know what to do with our own thoughts, with our own mirrors. And when that truth started unveiling, we were like, whoa, wait, our kingdom's coming to naught. Till we realized that
Mm.
wasn't our kingdom. God called out to Adam in the garden, Adam, where are you? After Adam bore witness to what he said was being naked, all that meant was being authentic, was being
Right.
honest and truthful. That's you without your cosmetic, without your labels, without your algae, without your bull, without the deception, without the insecurities, and without the imprints of society attaching to your body. You can't cover yourself in fig leaves until you kill them. So he's wrapped up in dead things. And that is our jobs, our titles, our labels. That's this attachment. But we are dismantling. We're pulling off those dead things. We're like Lazarus, honey. Right now, I'm just hearing Lazarus come forth, and we're coming out from the tomb. We're still wrapped up in our burial cloth, and we may still have a little stank on us, from decomposing in that sepulcher, but we are coming out.
You're speaking the truth, and my concern at this point, and I don't know, concern might not be the right word, but this is where the divide between spirituality and religion can serve as a block to the freedom. And I practice, how do I communicate this in a way that someone who believes that Christ is Jesus's last name, to understand being able to live in this third dimension, but actually creating our own reality in the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and on. How do I live here in the third dimension of all this chaos and confusion that we were talking about earlier? That if people in America don't realize that we're in the midst of the new civil war, then they will be caught up into the abyss of sucking down, into conflict, anger, frustration, all of those emotions that are connected to seeing this as the reality. We're at a place where I do believe that God is challenging us to learn how to do it.
Religion has its place, because it's sort of like kindergarten has its place.
Mm-hmm.
You want to take the seeds, but what happens is, what's really happened is God is an evolutionary being. Every religion is sowing seed, and we're supposed to take those seed, plant those seed, and allow those things to root in our hearts. This is why the tablets from Moses was broken. The tablets, the book, the doctrine, the indoctrination that was broken, because we're supposed to be, these seeds are supposed to be rooting. We understand it's not Christ the man, but the Christ consciousness. And what did that consciousness do?
That's it.
That consciousness moved itself in right after the Mosaic law. The law of Moses came into place. The law of Moses was commandments of thou shalt not. The thou shalt nots are a way to put a parameter around a human being, instead of a human being going inward in their heart and already recognizing, of course I shouldn't murder because we're all one. Of course I shouldn't steal because we're all one. So you move into the grace, the love consciousness, which is Yeshua, the consciousness of the Christ. The consciousness of the Christ is about his ascension. Religion, the organization, takes away the organism. The religion keeps us in two places. At his birth, we call it Christmas, and at his death, crucifixion. And yet, if it's true that love rose, then we're supposed to be stepping in the evolutionary process and studying the consciousness from the place of rising.
You're right there. I'm thinking that the story, and so far when I talk about the Christ consciousness, most individuals that are really connected to religiosity can understand it somewhat, but it's like dropping that seed, that now that you understand that Christ is not Jesus's last name, Christ is the highest form of humanity that one can live and be. So if we want to be Christ-like, then we are going to be able to follow him or her.
And he said, I am the light of the world. He also said, study to show thyself approved. So here we are sitting here going, well, what is light? Religion doesn't want you to go hand in hand with science or with wisdom or with the earth, where all of the messages and wisdom is in a combination. You have to go into science because God gave us this mind to be able to go, well, then what is light? Well, light, they broke down through physics, is quantum light particles. They're so tiny that you can't see them. They are the invisible light that hold all molecular structure together. And how does that structure become animate? Through energy, right? Kinetic energy. That's the force of God. Which means if the light of the world says I'm the light of the world, and every single thing in the world is made up of invisible light, then everything is Yeshua. Everything has Christ consciousness. It just has to be awakened.
It has to be awakened, and you have to be willing and then believe, because the science of that is that light is faster than sound and thought is faster than light. And when you integrate thought, light, frequency, sound, it creates instant manifestation.
Well,
And I
thought
say
is
that's
God.
why prayer works.
Thought is energy.
That's
Thought is
the
God.
energy.
The
That's the
energy
energy
was
that
there
you're
first
talking about.
before that, and then God said, "Let there be light." So
Let
yes,
there be
thought is
light.
faster than the light. Absolutely. But you also realize that we are, the Bible is according to the Jewish calendar, right? Which means we're moving into the sixth day of creation, because the Jewish calendar is
Mm.
like in year 5,700 something. I don't know. But the Bible says, it says that the earth was created in 7 days. Let's just go with that. On the seventh day, God rested. But the scripture also says that a day unto the Lord is of 1,000 years, right?
Mm.
So we know that now we're moving into the sixth day, and on the sixth day is when God created man in his image. So that's why we're awakening to the truth.
In his image,
And
okay.
what did he say? What did he say his image was? He said, God made man in his image, male and female made
Female.
him. Male and female is the image of God. Speaking on that, because I got to get to this, because that just hit
Woo!
me. This is all about the I die daily. So if God made man in his image, male and female made he him, then God is the ultimate transcendent being,
Mm.
right? He's male and female in balance, which is why Native Americans go to the LGBTQ community and say you are two-spirited. And if you're two-spirited, you're the only ones that can adopt children. You're the only ones that can be medicine men. Why? Because you have the balance of both male and female. Now, what is the difference? What's going on in the world where people are mutilating their flesh, where there's discrimination, all of this? The flesh has got nothing to do with being the male and female entity of the high being. Why do we go there?
Right.
We have a world that decided to define who we are and what we are spiritually by putting the word sex, which is a physical, temporal thing at the end of it. You are a
Mm.
homosexual. You are a bisexual. You are a transsexual. Sex has got nothing to do with being in the full divinity. The full divinity is love. So actually, we are one love. We are self-love. We are all love, and we are transcendent love. And if we
Yes.
change that took away the flesh, the temporal thing that religion has turned into a debauchery, then we would recognize that it's all love, and we wouldn't be having those same feelings, because that frequency of just using the word love would already shift.
Oh my God. What are you thinking, my love?
Where
With
are you
between
taking me?
carrying on and on. It's your turn. It's your turn to integrate.
Go, Kayla, go. Go, Kayla, go.
I'm still processing, but I will say, I think that what we have done throughout the time of man is that we have tried to put words to what we already knew. And if we were in balance, sleeping when it gets dark, sleeping with if our systems were in balance, and we didn't necessarily need words so that we could codify what we know, then that's what's happened. I love the fact that I think, it's in English how we have one word for love, but in Arabic how they have like multiple words in love. And that's something, because if we didn't have to have all these words to keep, at some point we allowed the word to envelop what we knew, and then we rebel against going beyond the word if it didn't capture everything. And so it was interesting because I was giving a talk around like the different, they were talking about pronouns, and I'm saying, like, it's not it's not just that, it's saying that if we can find a way of communicating, a way of speaking that opens the arms and allows more thoughts, more ideas, more people at different levels, different, at different, the way, if we can somehow open that so that people can come in and not get pushed out, then that's what it's about, right? And so I think if we think of it more that way, then that's how we're living. We're not living in a way of stuck to certain ideas. We're just trying to stuff off that, look at people, and then from there have dialogue with your spirit, have dialogue that, right? And that is beyond what we've put in dictionaries, beyond all of that, because there's so much knowledge we've let go because we haven't been able to codify it. And if we could not only appreciate knowledge that, in a sense, that science has said is this or science has said is that, then we can understand when someone says, no, it doesn't feel good to walk over there. We shouldn't be over in that corner, or to know they know something, or when people can know how you're supposed to plant this next to that, but it comes from a listening that has been lost. So I am struggling with that too. So I love that you put that out there. I'm really trying to, I love words as a writer, as a lyricist. I love words, but I once said that a poem is like the pregnancy of the thought, right? It's not, it's when it's like to say, to go beyond the tear, but to try to paint and write around what is wetness, right? And that's what I love about poetry, is because that is you unraveling the words. You're throwing in imagery, you're throwing in things that bring in and touch that feeling. So I guess we all should be living trying to relate to one another as poets, and not be so stuck, but trying to break apart language and touch more closely, what does that mean?
Poems. Through veils, skin, history, prejudice, memories, a poem can pierce. If you will just honor the rhyme or the lack, the experience of a comma, wordless moment, the intent of words jumbled, pauses or picked so carefully with honor given to layers of meaning, a poem.
What does it mean?
Wow. That's really powerful.
Poetry, you keep saying each of us has. We're actually a oneness. We're one humanity, one body. So every single, whether we are a cancer cell in the body or whether we are a poetic breath in the body, every single thing that's in this society is us. Everything we hate, we're bearing witness to what we hate about ourselves. Everything we don't accept is stating that we don't accept ourselves. Everything that we fall in love with is our way of falling deeply in love with self. So we are the great poetry written in eternity. Yeah.
Ooh. So when you said lyricist, that's what came up for me. I was like, I wish I was a lyricist, but I do write music, but I don't. It's very interesting because I become a lyricist when God is downloading. And when it's not downloading, nothing happens. I can't just sit there and write something, And I thought about when you said lyricist, oh, that sounds so beautiful. Doesn't that sound beautiful when you think about words? A lyricist. It made me think about just how songs, music, vibration comes into the atmosphere, and then all of a sudden it chooses you.
God loves words so much he called himself the Word.
Lyrics, but it does, it chooses. I like that, because what you're speaking, like, that's, I know it's inspiration, right? But I think I had two teachers, and both of them had trained with Bobby McFerrin, and so I think their approach to music was so different than a lot of my other teachers that I had. So what I loved is the first time I came in and I'm thinking, I was like, how do you scat? What do I do with this song? How am I supposed to sing it? And thinking that there's one way, right? And you go into the classroom thinking they're going to teach you a way. And one of the teachers was like, no, I need you to sit, and what does the song mean? And what does the song mean to you? And so from there, it's not that you're just singing a note. It's not just that you're growling right there. It's not that just that you're going to go breathy right here. It's, how does that paint the meaning? How does that paint, how do each of these choices just stack up meaning upon meaning upon meaning? So
beautiful.
That was a way of also just looking at looking at language differently. Like if you speak to dancers, I've had dancers where it's like, okay, we can't have a great long conversation, but they can tell you in movement, right?
Yes.
They can relate something so
Yes.
profound. All those are pieces. All those are pieces.
That's
And
real.
are
That's
people?
real.
It's real. People is like, like, you can't say anything to me, but you could hug me, and when you hug me, I know all you're saying. I can feel everything. I can feel the missing. I can feel the all of that, and maybe there's nothing we can put around it. But I think we need to get there. Which I guess that's why art always comes in movements, often comes when we're, like the artists, it's when everything, I know they think about like in South Africa, the music that was coming out, right? I mean, I think that's why art
Oh,
happens.
the music,
So
think about the 60s.
mm,
This was all a frequency of vibration. We had not yet passed ERA. We had the women's rights movement. We had Harvey Milk, the gay rights movement. We had the civil rights movement. We had a Vietnam War. We had
yep.
so much going on at the same time. And what happened? A whole bunch of people came out and said, they sent out a vibration of love and a vibration of peace. We had Black Panther schools going and free lunch.
Yeah.
We had Woodstock and we had big afros and we were loving each other. We had the hippies. We had the dance. When people stepped out of society to, despite how it was being defined, it was the vibration, all of the music. People get on the love train.
Mm-hmm.
They were singing all of the peace and the love, but it was a frequency and a vibration. The music permeated the entire universe. Suddenly, Jim Crow ended, the Vietnam War ended, Equal Rights Amendment was passed, gay rights, all of it happened. And then all we had to do was have drugs move in, dump them
Mm-hmm.
into the ghettos, push us into heroin and crack cocaine, move the love thing out of the me phase. We were buppies, yuppies, and addicts. And the
They shut
whole
down music in
frequency of
schools.
the whole, they took music away. That whole
Art.
vibration went down to nothing. And then the new music that came out of that was now the music of rage, coming out of post crack, the music
Yeah.
of the hood, the rap music. And although the beat is great, but all that rage was hitting the earth and we were feeling it. And now we became a society vibrating on rage, what's happening in the world and what's happening to people and guns and police. And now we're all angry and it's, and like, that's like having when Mother Teresa came out and they said, girl, we want to invite you. They probably didn't call her girl, but they were like, Mother Teresa, we want to invite you to an anti-war rally. And she was like, peace out. I'm not coming. Invite me to a peace rally and I'll be there. You invite me to an anti-anything and you are continue proliferating. That becomes a cancer. And
Yeah.
we're trying to have an amen on the fact that we think we're being so righteous. End the war. Stop racism, stop fascism. But the energy, the frequency is the exact same thing as a rapist, a murderer, a warmonger, and the Klan.
Oh,
We have to learn how to change because we live in an energy field. You can't
wow.
tie anything without proliferating it. That's where we are now. Everyone's mad. Because we're all mad, look at this. Wars, tsunamis, fascism. Wait, that's the vibration.
This is why we've created the frequency of love. You really helped me, Piper, because I didn't think about, the love child and the hippie era and how that brought so much love into the atmosphere. And I'm thinking if we create this frequency of love, and I was about to maybe move on from it, but maybe not. We got to stay on it. I mean, I was like saying, okay, we did that, but we're not finished.
That's your purpose. You're not finished because that frequency of love is the only thing that's going to change the earth. And we're moving quickly. We're already in the age of Aquarius. The 60s was the dawning. We're there. So if we don't move into love and compassion, and you both as the muses, as the songbirds, as the lyricists, as this is your job. I mean, this is the only job that the angels have in heaven. Being out that hallelujah. This is your job. You can't move on because you're in the center of the war. The civil war, the emotional war, the economic war. There is a war going on energetically. And the only way to cut through it is the first sound, the Om, the sound of your hearts, your souls, the rhythm of your guitars, because music is mimicking the heartbeat. the flapping of the bird wings. It's mimicking the waterfalls. It's mimicking the soul. It's mimicking the ancestors. It's mimicking our cry. It's mimicking new birth. And it mimics heaven, and it mimics creation.
Yes. Woo, God. But we need to just go ahead and put you out there, and you just go ahead and speak the words into peace.
Well, that's what you and I do all the time, because words aren't enough. I speak into your calling, your angelic voice that reaches 1,000 octaves with your sound bath, with your crystal healing. You have been called by the elders, the ancestors, and dimensional future, God entity, spiritual entity.
Wow.
And your voice reaches it, your words reach it, the vibration. We're not an island. I can't be an island. I am nothing if I'm just a voice. I'm crying out in the wilderness. We're together. If we don't do this as a team, then we're not coming together as a family.
You are entering into a pure vibrational sonic mind streaming meditation. Allow your awareness to focus on the tones and the sounds that resonate with you, and follow it with your mind, as it is clearing and cleansing all stress, all tension, all anxiety are gone.
What vibration comes to you? If I were to ask you, Kaylah, what you've heard so far, what can you spit right now?
Right now, so I started off this call. I started off this call trying to get present. And right now, I can just feel it all in my heart space. This is what your meditations have done to me before. I can feel that. That's powerful. That is really powerful. The words, I don't have them yet. I just feel it. I can feel this expanding. I did want to say, I think it's interesting what AI is co-opting right now. And that a big part of it is co-opting the arts.
Yeah.
And that's just to follow up with what we had said about how powerful all these elements are to moving us to the next level. So for AI, which is steeped in old wisdom, old knowledge, past thoughts, and that's what's creating a lot of our art and music right now, because that's what it pulls from. It's just basically cycling through everything that has been and then popping something out, right? If you ask it a question, and why is it all these forces trying to hold us to yesterday and hold us to certain thoughts of yesterday? What's happening, right? What popcorn ideas are happening around us that can suppress?
Well, you have to suppress it because they only give 1% the opportunity to be the great writers, the great songwriters, the great filmmakers, they want to keep it there. They're like, wait a minute, everyone's going to have access to their own creativity being created as it comes to their mind? No. But Kaylah, you just did that in your film. You painted humanity and you defined culture in painting. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I just, if it's okay, I want to show, I want to show the real, to your film. And I want to have a viewing. I want to bring people together, do an event, have Sister Ivy perform and you sing. And I want to bring this, but it's the special way upon which you chose to visualize humanity. You brought us back to the artistry of God. And tell us a little bit about your film, why you decided to do something on culture, what that means to you. And then if it's okay, we're going to go ahead and show that.
I'm going to try to condense it. This film is a lot of people's stories. So all of our relationship to how we ended up doing this film. It started with Kwame, who was also a Galen Logan Jr. from Village Connect, was doing culture-based transformative training and had decided like, okay, well, what could I do with this? And at the same time, like, let's explore film. And so he started that spark, brought 4 filmmakers together, and then from this more was born, because suddenly you had COVID, suddenly you had the lockdown, and you had Black Lives Matter, and there was so much happening where people were open, people were ready to talk, people were ready to connect, and we wanted to get in while people were yearning for connection, because that's a different kind of conversation than when you're getting up every day and we're rubbing shoulders and we're doing stuff. There's just a built up callous. And in this, we were lamenting the loss of that. So with that, we could put questions out and get really, really open, beautiful answers. And the thought was, well, let's take America through this training and what happens. Because the training is saying, like, to sum it up, is, who are you? Like, if you could shuff off everything you've been told, everything that you get born, you come home, you get put into this box, then you go to school, you get put into this box. If you go through this process and shuff off all of that, what is your culture? Like, what is the culture of Piper at your core? What is our culture? And really get to the root of that. So we're like, okay, well, what's America's culture? What is that? And that was a series of all of these interviews. We brought in art, we brought in music, and we wanted just a changing, morphing, beautiful art piece of what is America. Because we say, this is when we try to codify it. You get the picture of this European man, and you know, we think it's guns, we think it's that, but it's not. When you delve, and when you can come at it from a more indigenous, Afro-American perspective, and that perspective is from a place where you had so many truths shattered, and you are holding on to a self and putting it through while it's being bombarded by all these things that we call America, but that's not, right? So that's the perspective that we delved into with this. And
film, that sounds like something.
It was, you have to come at it fresh and ready.
Look, that film had me. But even before Dr. Ivy puts it on, Dr. Ivy, tell me, just from what she just said, who are you? What is the culture of Ivy without all of the labels?
Yeah.
You're on mute, Mama.
Okay, well, the culture of Ivy, that's a really good question, because lately I've been thinking about that. Every once in a while I find myself in the midst of something that I really enjoy, and then I say, oh, this is a part of who I am as a cultural woman. And, so me, okay, I have to have nature, I have to have aroma, I have to have water, I have to have silence. I have to have connection. And love is a really big thing for me, and how I see love in my culture is very different than even people who are closest to me understand it. And so I'm at a place now where when I think about my culture, I have to be in nature. I have to be near the mountains. I have to be in color and sound and taste and aroma. That's my culture. That's who I am. And sound is really the foundation. And how that happened, I don't know. Just one day I realized that sound frequency and vibration was more powerful than talk therapy in my practice.
I want to come to your culture.
Come on to my culture.
I want to be a part of your culture. You know what I loved about it is her culture was so otherworldly. It was origin and dimension. Because you didn't mention one thing about race and food and school, and because it's already elevated. So
Yeah.
let's watch the beginning of this film. Ivy, you put it up, and while we do it, Kayla, what's it called?
It's called Culture Connects Us. We had our director, Jalila Bell, the artistry. Wanda Whitaker did the paintings in the film. I got to do the editing. It's Culture Connects Us. Here we go.
All right. Here we go.
Here we go. Everyone mute.
At this moment in time, we are facing the sobering reality that we are a nation divided. And for those who are asking, what can I do? How can I make a difference? Seek to hear. Commit to setting aside what you think you know and strive to truly understand.
And as we begin to see beyond what we've been swimming in, then it's important for us to now start linking arms and coming together and creating the type of culture that we all want to live in.
Because we're all busy trying to find space for ourselves, I think it's kind of a mind shift to be like, actually, no, let's just all come together. Let's learn about each other. Let's create space for each other. How about that? And through that, we can move forward in something new instead of just coming kind of individual for our own selves.
Music has unified us. The dance has unified us. The environment unifies us. All of these things that are already showing us how to bear witness to everything being different coming together in a perfect weave of harmonious glory.
We're going to do snaps. Now.
That was me singing underneath.
That was you. I know that voice.
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful? Wait, hold on. We have a question that came in. And then I done up there, done darn lost it. I'm just kidding. I done darn lost. So you guys have to let me know if you can hear. I'm going to put this here and play the question.
Okay.
Hello, beautiful ladies, and good afternoon. I'm calling in today with 3 questions. I actually have a question for each of you. But before I ask my questions, I just wanted to thank you so much for this forum, for the opportunity to ask the questions and receive your opinions and your answers. So thank you so much for that. So my first question is for Kaylah. Kaylah, what do you think this political climate and Trump's popularity will mean for LGBTQ plus rights, and what does pride mean to you? And then Piper, how has pride become a significant part of world culture, and why is that important? And then lastly, for Dr. Ivy, what are the inherent contradictions, fears, and limitations within the world community and the Black community in general that impede or propel the rights and dignities of the LGBTQ plus community? Thank you again, ladies. Really appreciate it.
Well, it sounds like she needs to say those questions again because they're pretty complex.
Yes, and I'm glad the reason that the calls are coming in that way is because I did announce tomorrow we start Pride Month. And I find that this is one of the most important things. And also, Kaylah will be singing the national anthem at the Fresno Pride Parade.
Wow, that's going to be beautiful.
Okay, it's the break. And this beautiful elevation. That's an elevation of self-love, an elevation of wisdom, an elevation of the Rainbow Coalition, an elevation of compassion and understanding, and yet such a huge conversation of divisiveness because of religion, because of all of this negativity. So celebrating pride, and how has pride become a part of our culture? Because that's a melting pot. No one is not in the community. When you go within the LGBTQ plus community, it's actually the great melting pot, no different than the Western world. It's less segregated than our neighborhoods. So let's talk about that. And I probably have to replay the question because boy, oh boy, there's a lot of questions. So Kaylah, did you understand that first question, or shall I play it again? Do you remember it?
I think I do. I think I got this one.
Go ahead.
Let's see. So that first one, I'm really concerned about this election coming up. I work as I supervise some of the cohorts for an organization called Base Building for Power, and we're training young people to become organizers and to be able to have to go out there and to be leaders. Some of them going into working with unions, some of them going with other organizations, some hopefully like leading campaigns, and it's part of the Dolores Huerta Foundation, so that they're our sister organization. And one of the things that really made me care and want to do this is because like everyone has different reasons. We had a question we put out, and we're like, well, what is it that brought you here to this training? And people had different things, and I would say, I'm concerned about my marriage. I'm concerned about, I'm concerned about that being, there's laws now that we thought were codified in the books, right? And who knew, what it would take to topple that. So I am very, very concerned that a Trump presidency, it's not even about Trump. I don't need that part. It's just that it represents an intolerant way of thinking. Mm-hmm. And that intolerance is frightening, and it should frighten people, not just in terms of, oh, my marriage and my life and those, but it should frighten people because intolerance, that will affect all of us. That will spill over into all aspects of our life. And I know, there's certain issues that are base issues, like when you are hitting, when you're hitting civil rights issues, when you're hitting those are base issues that, in a sense, they bleed over to everybody else. So people should be concerned because intolerance will make a smaller world for all of us. So that's my biggest fear with what's going on right now. I know after the first election.
What do you think?
Another word.
What do you think it means in the fifth dimension?
The fear.
What is the LGBTQ community representing to the third dimension, to this limitation of thought, to this separation and divisive experience? What do you think the purpose of this movement, of the people, of all of it, what does it mean on the spiritual?
On the spiritual level, I think that the community it being so under attack tells us everything, because you have generations of where things were hidden, or people kept so many things secret. You have this generation that was like, no, we want to integrate. We want to integrate into society and our identities not be taboo, our identities not be defined by the outer. We want to bring people in and be a part of. That's a beautiful sentiment, and that sentiment came and has been hit by the biggest onslaught last year of legislation and violence, all of that came out 2023, a higher wave than the past couple of years. And all it was the saying, okay, these are thoughts that, I went into small rooms when I first came out. I went into areas that it's like, that we had that openness of whatever your identity was, wherever you were at, wherever you found, we had that. So it was amazing to me to see that this was trying to be now carried out and what the response was. So I think that the backlash that we are getting from people coming out and saying, this is who I am, is huge. Right? And it is huge, and it is an LGBTQIA issue, but it is also really a human issue. It is humanity, because we reflect everyone.
Because that, on the fifth dimension, what I'm really seeing? Mm-hmm. This is an attack on Christ consciousness. Christ consciousness is love.
There you go.
This is an attack on love. When anyone tells you how you get to love, It's actually
Yes.
an attack on the Christ consciousness that religion is saying they believe in. If you
Sure.
believe the law of grace and love came into the world, love your neighbor as yourself. And what love your neighbor as yourself means
What does
is
that
you have
mean?
to love your neighbor to
Yeah.
the same degree by which you love yourself as yourself. This is a beautiful unmasking of seeing how little people love themselves.
Yes.
Because if the commandment is love your neighbor as yourself, if that's the greatest commandment there is, and love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, that's what every foundation of the Christian church is based upon. So if you're dismantling love, if you're dysregulating love, if you're lynching, beating, crucifying love, then you're
Yes.
re-crucifying the Christ you say you know, which is why the church is now coming to naught, because Christ consciousness is the only truth. And this is a beautiful picture and mirror of truth, that love is.
Let it all go. Let it all go. Yes, I want you, baby. I have all along. It's such a big surprise to know you want me just as strong.
Right.
Mm.
And then to
The
celebrate
dream
it. That's
is love.
pride.
It's
That's
all
what pride
love.
season is.
So if you're going to say you
Right.
can't be interracial, you can't be gay, you can't have freedom, you're basically politicizing a way to crucify Christ all over again. But you're doing it in a building and calling it a church. The organization is coming to naught because it's not real. The organization of love will continue to expand because you can't kill love.
That's right.
Mama I.
Well, I'm not going to ask you to play the question again, but it was very, very complex. But I'm going to tell you what came up in my spirit after listening to it. And I think it has something to do with what are the barriers? What keeps us from embracing or seeing the reality and truth? And what came up to me are 4 different concepts. The first one was denial. The second one was resistance. The third one is fear. But the one that came through that really excites me, and I don't even know if it's such a thing, but it's called cosmic amnesia. Because ultimately we
It's a thing now.
We are all particles of stardust. And stardust has no gender. I don't think. And so if we have this, and I think the cosmic amnesia came because of the ego of humanity. I'm just rattling off right here. And because of the ego, we began to find ways of control, so religion did show up. But I always say that, in studying religions of the world, there are over 166,000 different kinds. Which is only one right? I don't think so.
Well, because religion is about defining a God that's undefinable. And since everything is God, everything is the light, there's going to be a billion different actual religions if we call our identity to God is as individual as our handprint.
Yes. So to me, the cosmic amnesia is something that has to be sparked so that we can remember that we came here to express love on the planet with a higher form of consciousness than that possessed by an ordinary man. So that brings us back to the Christ consciousness. Because what did Christ say? What I do, you can do also.
Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
So, We have to work on repairing the cosmic amnesia
And
that's
the way
happening.
to repair it is this high vibration of love and music and frequency, and having
Yeah.
conversations and opening our hearts wide, so that once we've borne witness to what's going on in the world, we stop and go, oh, that's in the third dimension. But what is it really all about? And at the end of the day, we've all come up with the same answer throughout the conversation. It's all about love in the end.
It's all about love.
The vibration of love,
All
the
about
frequency of love, the culture of love. We are love. Christ consciousness is love. Love changes the world. Love is everything. And as you know, we always end our beautiful times together, always, with a song and with a meditation and a high vibration by Dr. Ivy Hylton and myself, only in terms of visuals. And this time today, we're going to do the frequency of love. Is there any final thoughts that you guys have? I'm so happy that I had this talk. You don't even know. First of all, I woke up, not just like a woolly mammoth, but I woke up, had my tea, and I literally walked around my house. I'm not gonna lie, I was pissed. I'm not gonna lie. I woke up going, does it really matter that this man got 36 felonious convictions? Is it gonna matter? I was like, now he's a dictator. Now he can tell the world, don't listen to church, don't listen to the Congress, don't listen to medicine, don't listen to CIA, FBI, judicial system, don't listen to anybody but me. So he's creating this dictatorship, and it was really upsetting me. I mean, I was having like third dimensional challenge, like what in the world is going to happen? And then I stopped and I went, oh yeah, we're in school, and this is just like that really sucky class, like Algebra 2 was for me. I was like, this really sucks. I don't want to be in this class, but I'm not going to fail this class. Your energy, your frequency, your love, your commitment, and your selflessness. Thank you. You lifted me. I feel like I'm already healing in my body.
Woo!
Healing in my mind. I need that.
Oh, yes. We got to do a remembrance ceremony.
Yeah, we do. Thanks, Kaylah. So we're going to say goodbye. We love everybody. We're going to watch the frequency of love. We're going to meditate to that. This was really cool. Thank you for the questions that came in. And don't forget to write. If anyone wants to write in a question or call in, if you want to see Kaylah and Dr. Ivy again, which you will, because I'm going to force it for them to come on all the time, because this is so much fun, then you can send your questions to thedreamislove@gmail.com. If you want to post anything of love, anything that touches your heart, your music, your art, you can post it on our YouTube page. You can post it anywhere. But our YouTube page is The Dream Is Love @TheDreamIsLove. So please, we look forward to it. Let's keep the vibration going so we can heal the world. I love you. Mwah.
Mwah.
Mwah. I love you. Mwah.
Mwah.
Bye.
To know about your heart. around your heart and embrace it with love. Unyan sambunimu ni matimasi ondura nira nefekwan asante ina sumasu apenas and kofastu je ne sumo binchere obifrana me sankofa je ne asum asante sino hima. Understanding and peace of mind. The heart chakra is located at the center of the chest, directly at the heart level. I now invite you to bring your awareness to your breath. Deep breath in through the nose. Deep breath out through the mouth. Deep breath all anxiety and fear are gone. Gently out through your mouth. Deeply now. Deep breath in Letting go. Letting go. Going deeper and deeper into relaxation. Deeper and deeper into surrender. Let it go. Your awareness to the center of your forehead, right between your two eyebrows, the third eye, and gently close your eyes. Breathe. Right in the center of your mind, allow an image to appear there of bright white light. Breathe. Allow your body to go even deeper into relaxation, letting go of your shoulders, your arms, the muscles in your neck, your chest, releasing all hold in your abdomen, down even deeper into your hips, under your thighs, allowing that relaxation to flow into your knees, down into your calves, and over your ankles into your feet, and allow that energy to flow through each and every toe